Hello students, in previous lecture we have studied detail about the packing of particles or spheres in crystal lattice. Then those packing of particles in the crystal lattice takes place in one dimensional pattern or arrangement. Then it forms a row of that spheres in which coordination number of that spheres is 2. Then those rows of the spheres when stacked over to each other, which forms a layer of those particles in the crystal structure or crystal lattice, then that is the two-dimensional arrangement of the spheres. And here there are two different methods of arranging the spheres in two-dimensional pattern. See here that spheres in the one-dimensional rows, those are stacked in such a way that the spheres in all rows are aligned vertically as well as horizontally. Then it forms a layer. Here now one layer of formation of square close packing of those spheres in 2D pattern is formed, and which is known as square close packing, that is SCP, in which the coordination number is 4, and voids which are formed here is a square type. Then see here we can arrange those spheres in the rows by one more method, that is, see here, which results in the formation of hexagonal close packing of those spheres in 2D pattern, that is SCP, when the spheres in the second row are arranged in the depression of the spheres of the first row. Similarly, the spheres in the third row are also arranged in the depression of the spheres in the second row, as well as the spheres in the fourth row are also arranged in the depression of spheres in the third row. Therefore, here the spheres in first row is exactly get aligned with the spheres in the third row. Therefore, first row is of A type while third row is of A type, as well as the spheres in the second row as well as the spheres in the fourth row, those are get exactly aligned, and therefore here the second row is different from the first row. Therefore, those are alternately called as A type, B type, A type and B type. That means here AB type pattern formation takes place, which results to the formation of SCP close packing structure. Then here coordination number is 6, because here one sphere is directly attached with the 6 other spheres. Then see here, all of you have studied about that in previous lecture, that is about the arrangement of the spheres in layers. That means that is the two-dimensional arrangement of the spheres. And then today we are going to discuss about the packing of, that is close packing of spheres in 3D pattern. That means packing of particles in crystal structure in 3-dimensional pattern, 3D pattern. Then see here, there are two different types of layers which one is, that is SCP, and other one is HCP. There is only one type of arrangement takes place while stacking of those 2D layers of the spheres in the SCP close packing in three-dimensional crystal lattice, which results into the formation of simple cubic lattice. Then see here one layer is there in which all spheres in all rows are aligned exactly vertically as well as horizontally. Then that is the only one type of layer. Then here that layer is called as a type of layer. Here first layer is there. Then see here, there is only one method or one way to arrange the layers, all layers in 3D pattern. Then see here, the same layer, consider that the same layer when it is arranged over to first layer, such that the spheres in the second layer get exactly aligned to the spheres in the first layer, as well as the spheres in the third layer. We can also arrange the third layer on the second layer, such that spheres in the third layer also align to the spheres of first layer and second layer, as well as the spheres in the fourth layer are also arranged in such a way that spheres in all layers are arranged which exactly align to the spheres of first, second and third layers. That means all layers are same. That means all layers are of A type layers. Therefore, this arrangement is known as AAA type arrangement. That means AAA type arrangement of layers in 3D pattern, 3D structure or pattern. Then here, imagine there are 4 different layers when arranged exactly on each other, such that all spheres get aligned vertically as well as horizontally. Then those voids remains as it is. That means those voids are also aligned with other. Therefore, here the three-dimensional arrangement of AAA type arrangement of those layers, which results in the formation of simple cubic unit cell, that is SCc type pattern. That is, for example, in polonium, that simple cubic unit cell structure formation takes place, as well as in NaCl. See here, in this arrangement, here in this arrangement of the layers in 3D pattern, which gives rise to formation of cubic unit cell, which forms the cubic unit cell, in which there are 8 particles or 8 spheres which are at the each 8 corner of that simple cubic unit cell. And here the coordination number of that pattern or in this type of arrangement is 6. That means one sphere comes in contact with 6 spheres. 4 in the same layer, 1 from the layer which is above to it, and the one sphere which is one sphere, and the remaining one sphere which is from the layer arranged back side of that layer, back layer. That means here coordination number is 6. And example of simple cubic unit cell is polonium and NaCl. Then see here, in AAA type of arrangement of those layers in 3D structure, which results to the formation of simple cubic unit cell, which is like this. See here, that type of unit cell formation takes place in the 3D structure formation. That is, see here in the figure you observe that simple cubic close packing of those spheres in 3-dimensional pattern. That is the 3D structure of arrangement of the spheres, which results in the formation of SCC, that is simple cubic unit cell. Then here the void which is present in those, that is square type, and voids are also aligned with each other, in which coordination number of this type of arrangement of the spheres, that is in the simple cubic unit cell 6, in which each sphere in those 3D structure which is in the direct contact with 6 other spheres, that is 4 spheres in the same layer and 1 sphere from the layer above to it, and 1 sphere which is from the layer below to it. And here the examples of those type of arrangements or simple cubic unit cell present in the polonium as well as NaCl, that is sodium chloride. Then we will discuss about the 3-dimensional stacking of the SCP layers. See, hexagonal close packing of the spheres in 2-dimensional pattern, in which coordination number is 6, and voids which are triangular, and those triangular voids which are in which those triangular voids are alternately takes place, in which the apex of those voids are in opposite direction, that is upward and downward direction. Then see here, in this layer there are arrangement of the rows is AB type, and here only one layer formation takes place in 2D pattern. Then when we arrange these type of layers in the 3D pattern, packing of or stacking of SCP layers in 3D pattern, then here this layer is totally considered as a type layer. That means, that is you observe here, that is only one layer, that is A layer. Then see here, the arrangement of the spheres in the second layer, third layer as well as in the fourth layer takes place in 3D pattern arrangement of SCP layers. First of all, we have to discuss on here packing of 2 SCP type of layers, SCP layers takes place here. That is, see here, this layer is A type layer. Then spheres in the second layer that is second layer, is labeled as B layer. Then here the spheres in the first layer and spheres in the second layer does not align with each other. Then see here, the spheres in the second layer, these are arranged in the depression of the first layer. Then all triangular voids in first layer are not covered by spheres in the second layer. That means there are triangular voids which are alternately directed. Half of them are directed in, that is, upward direction, and half of them are directed in downward direction. Therefore, only half of the triangular voids are covered by the spheres in the layer above to it, in the second layer. Then see here, this sphere in the second layer, which covers only that triangular void and not that. Here this triangular void is only partially covered. See here, it is only partially covered by the spheres in the second layer. Therefore here, see here, therefore here those triangular voids which covered by the spheres in second layer, which makes that void tetrahedral voids. That means here, see here, when second layer, spheres in the second layer which covers that triangular voids. Then see here, then triangular voids which are covered by spheres in the second layer. That means see here, the triangular void which is formed by 3 spheres in the first layer and the sphere in the above layer, second layer, which can covers that triangular void. Therefore here this void is converted into tetrahedral void. Tetrahedral void, because when the centers of these 4 spheres which are joined by the segments, then here the tetrahedron is formed, obtained by joining the centers of those 4 spheres. And here, therefore, this void is known as, that voids which is formed by covering the triangular void is called as, that is, tetrahedral void. And tetrahedral void formation takes place by 4 spheres. 4 spheres. That is 3 spheres in the one layer and 1 sphere which is from the second layer. And therefore that void, triangular void, is converted into tetrahedron or tetrahedral voids. Then see here, the remaining triangular voids that are covered partially by spheres in the second layer. See here, when we arrange the second layer, then here the remaining half triangular voids which are covered partially. See here, when the spheres in the second row which are arranged in the depression of spheres of the first layer, then here the spheres in the 3 spheres in the second layer which can covers the remaining triangular voids remaining triangular voids like this. That means here this triangular void is partially covered, and therefore the triangular void is converted into octahedral void. Octahedral void. Then see here, that triangular void now converted into octahedral void, which is formed because of 6 spheres. 6 spheres. And when the centers of those 6 spheres, when it is joined, then it forms a octahedron like this. It forms the octahedron. Therefore, here that octahedral void formation takes place. That means here when there are arrangement of 2 layers of HCP, hexagonal close packing layers, on each other, then half of the triangular voids are converted into tetrahedral voids, while remaining half of the triangular voids are converted into octahedral voids, which is formed by 6 spheres. See here, there are total 6 spheres are there. 3 spheres from the first layer and 3 spheres from the second layer. Therefore, octahedral void formation takes place here. Then there is the arrangement of the 2 layers of the spheres of HCP layers. Then placing the third HCP layer spheres on the 2 layers. There are 2 different ways of placing the third SCP layer in 3-dimensional pattern, in 3-dimensional arrangement or pattern. Then see here, the spheres in the third layer are placing third SCP layer. It takes place by 2 ways. That first way, that is placing the spheres in the third layer with spheres of first layers. That means with alignment of those spheres with the spheres of the first layers. That means here first layer is of A type, while second layer is of B type. But here the spheres in the third SCP layer, it exactly align with the spheres of the first layer. Therefore, third layer is of A type. And here the spheres in the fourth layer, fourth SCP layer, is arranged such that the spheres in the fourth layer which align to the spheres in the second layer, which results for the formation of hexagonal HCP structure, hexagonal close packed structure in 3D pattern or 3D arrangement of the spheres. Example of those type, that is magnesium and zinc, which having the HCP structure, 3-dimensional HCP structure of that crystal lattice or unit cell. Then see here, this type of arrangement is known as AB type of arrangement. Then here the second way of arranging the spheres in the third layer, that is, see here, there are first layer is A type, then second layer, the spheres in the second layer, those are arranged in the depression of the, or those are arranged such that it can covers the half of the triangular voids, and remaining half of the triangular voids are covered partially by the spheres in the second layer. And the arrangement of the third HCP layer takes place by second way, that is placing the third SCP layer on second is to cover the octahedral wall. That means, see here, that is the first layer, spheres of the first layer, and here the spheres in, those are the spheres in the second layer, and third, the spheres in the third SCP layer, which are arranged here. That means here the spheres in the third layer which can arranged such a way that it can covers the octahedral voids, and therefore here spheres of the third SCP layer, they also do not align with the spheres of first layer as well as spheres in the second layer. Therefore here the first layer is A type layer, second layer is of B type layer, and the third layer is of C type layer. Therefore here the second way in which ABC, and when we arranged the spheres of the fourth HCP layers on those third layer such a way that in the it can covers the octahedral void, then here the spheres in the fourth layer, it can exactly align with the spheres of the first layer. Therefore here pattern of ABC type pattern formation takes place. That means, and which results in the formation of cubic closed packed structure. Cubic closed packed structure. Packed structure, that is CCP, which results in the formation of face-centered cubic unit cell. For example, here copper and Ag are the examples of face-centered cubic structure, or that type of pattern, ABC type of pattern of the arrangement of the spheres in 3D structures, which results in the formation of FCC, that is cubic closed packed FCC type unit cell, which takes place or which is present in copper and silver. That is about the packing of the spheres in three-dimensional pattern or three-dimensional arrangement. Then see here, the efficiency of the packing of the spheres increases in the ABC type of pattern, and therefore here the coordination number of that type, that is CCP, is 12. Then that means here efficiency also increases and voids get decreases, and that is about the arrangement of the spheres in three-dimensional pattern, which results in the formation of different types of unit cells in different crystal structures. Then we will discuss about the density and packing efficiency of those different types of arrangement of the spheres in 3D pattern in next lecture. Thank you.